Okay, I'm going to get started this evening by welcoming everyone. Welcome to Wat Tung. Nice to see everyone here. Welcome to everyone who's joining us online as well. This is our Sunday evening meditation where I come together each Sunday guiding you in a meditation session. Then I'm going to share a little bit of the teachings of the Buddha with you, but mainly I'm just going to open up to a question and answer session where you guys can ask any and all questions that you like about the teachings of the Buddha or developing your own practice, any personal challenges that you might be having. We'll just have an open discussion about anything you guys would like to discuss. Tonight, we're scheduled to do loving kindness meditation. What loving kindness meditation is it's a meditation to help you eliminate anger, hatred, ill will, and all the lesser versions like frustration, agitation, annoyance, even the slightest dislike. Oftentimes people think that these feelings are coming from other people, but it's actually coming from your own mind. It's your own mind that's having this anger and this bitterness and hostility, and it's causing difficulties in your relationships because when you're bitter and harsh and hostile to people and you put that out, it damages your relationships, and then it ends up coming back to you because those people are potentially bitter and harsh and hostile to you too. So there's a meditation that helps you to be able to transform this so that your mind can be loving and kind when you interact with people. You can get to the point where you have nothing but loving kindness towards all beings, that you've eliminated all your anger and hatred and ill will. By the time you get to enlightenment, you will no longer experience any discontent feelings. You won't have any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. You will have eliminated all the causes and conditions that are producing this. So loving kindness meditation is a component of that, but there's other pieces that you need too. It's not just loving kindness meditation, but we'll do that today so that you guys can get a little bit of exposure to that. And then afterwards, we'll talk about some things that'll maybe help you guys to understand the teachings of the Buddha. The way that we do the loving kindness meditation is we start with some chanting in order to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. If you'd like to chant along, you're more than welcome to. The chants are over there on the table, on the cabinet. You're welcome to chant along because it helps to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. During the lifetime of the Buddha, they used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings. So they used it as a learning tool or as a learning device. So you can see from the origins of chanting that this isn't a rite, ritual, ceremony, worship, or prayer. If you're seeing those kinds of things associated with the teachings of the Buddha, those aren't the teachings of the Buddha. He didn't teach any rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, and prayer. There's also not any rules and commandments. It's not about believing a bunch of things and hoping something good happens when you die. It's about learning, growing, and developing in this life. So these chants today, we help to ease into the meditation, and you'll get more benefit if you decide to chant along. You're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha in these chants. And because of that, I don't think the Buddha even created these chants, because he wouldn't have walked around and said, here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me. This would be ego or arrogance if he chose to do this. And by the time you get to enlightenment, you don't have that in your mind. But if you learn from a teacher how to move from anger, sadness, frustration, and all these other discontent feelings to the peaceful and joyful mental state that is enlightenment, and this teacher didn't want anything or expect anything from you, they were just helping you out of the kindness of their heart, you might have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. So that's why I think these came from his students. Once we're in the meditation, I'm going to be guiding you in a breathing mindfulness meditation session where you're going to be focused on the breath. And anytime the mind moves off the breath, you cut that off and let it go and come back to the breath. Then there's going to be a period of time of quietness where we're just doing the breathing mindfulness meditation, just a short period, kind of preparing the mind. But then you're going to hear me come back in with these phrases, with things like, may I be peaceful. You'll hear me say that out loud. What you would like to do is repeat that in your mind on the out breath. May I be peaceful. And then you're going to hear me say, may I be safe. And then again, on the out breath, you repeat that in your own mind. May I be well. And may I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. Then we're going to go to wider and wider rings where we're going to do things like, may mom and dad be peaceful, safe, well, and free of discontentedness. We're going to go beyond that to the point where we get to all beings. When you're doing this meditation, It's not to change other people. You can't change other people through your meditation. It's physically impossible. Meditation is for your own mind. You're also not invoking any kind of special power or any kind of supreme being to be able to change other people or hope or wish that these things will actually happen in the world. Instead, what you're doing is you're essentially rewiring your mind to be loving and kind, so that now when you're around mom and dad, you can be more loving and kind through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. Because oftentimes when you have difficulties in relationships, people think the way to solve this is to change the other person. But you'll never actually change and improve your relationships by trying to change other people. The way that you're going to get to better relationships is you need to change your mind. By you changing your mind, you will function differently in those relationships, and now you'll have different results. So this meditation is for your mind, to rewire your mind. It's essentially filling up your gas tank with loving kindness. And now you go out into the world through your intentions, speech, and actions, and you're more loving and kind. So after the period of time where we're doing those phrases, we're going to go back to the breathing mindfulness meditation, and then we're going to come out of that with some more chanting. The way that I think about this is like a loving kindness sandwich. You've got the loving kindness in the middle, and then the lettuce and tomato is the breathing mindfulness meditation, and the bread holding it all together, this is the chanting. So this is the structure of the meditation that we're going to be doing, and I'll guide you through this as we go. Then when we're in that period of time of quietness, I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds. You might hear a dog barking, a bird chirping, someone here might cough or sneeze. If you're in meditation with a craving for permanent silence, when you hear a sound, you will cause your mind to be annoyed or frustrated. But if you understand that the world is impermanent, that it's constantly changing, and it's not possible for you to meditate in a place where it's always quiet, then you can understand these sounds are going to arise, they're going to change, and then they're going to fade away. You can understand that the world's working exactly the way it was intended to work, which is impermanent. So you're going to hear sounds arise, change, and fade away. And then in terms of your body position for meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught: seated, lying, standing, and walking. For the loving kindness meditation, we usually use seated, the lying, or the standing. The walking meditation doesn't really work so well with loving kindness meditation. So you can use any position that you like, but oftentimes people are learning in the seated position. So I'll give you guys a little bit of guidance on this. You could be sitting on the floor in a chair. Maybe if you're at home, you're on a bench or a sofa or in a wheelchair. You can sit however you like. What I'm going to share with you are just suggestions or recommendations. There's not just one fixed way to sit, because that would be permanence, and we don't live in that world. So you find whatever is comfortable for you. And you might use some of the things that I share as maybe suggestions or recommendations. So if you're on the floor, you might have some cushions under your rear. This will kind of help soften your seat. And if you're going to bring your legs together in the cross-leg position, you might just choose to do that lightly. Whereas if they're real tight, this can impede the circulation and cause pain in the lower body. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets your hips up in the air, and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, allowing the circulation to flow. So you might decide to do that. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If this is comfortable for you, you could use it. But it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way. That would be permanence, and we don't live in a permanent world. So different people are going to find different things that are comfortable. So some people like to put their palms on their thighs or their knees. Some people put their palms up. Some people rest their hands comfortably in their lap. So you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. The same thing's true for anybody in a chair or in a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair. You can also sit however you like. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles, but you can see me sitting in a chair here with my legs crossed. So this is an option as well. And then you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. You like the upper body to be erect with the sternum up and the shoulders back. It'll help keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation, because what meditation is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities. So you'd like the mind to be attentive and alert during the meditation. Whereas if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid with the upper body, your mind would be overactive or uptight. So you'd like the upper body to be in the middle with the sternum up and the shoulders back, because not only will it keep the mind attentive and alert, but it'll make it easy for you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So I'm going to do the chanting, and then I'll come back in with the guidance to help you. You're welcome to join in if you like. Arahang สัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาคือวาพุทธังมหาคือวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาคือวัตตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาคือวัตโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหาคือวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดัมมาสติสัตตาตวามนุสรังพุทโธภาควาติ Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, Start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Then I'll be back with more guidance on loving kindness meditation. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Repeat these phrases in the mind on the out breath. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May mom and dad be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May my family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors all be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May all those who have caused me harm be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May all those who I have harmed be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May all beings, wherever they reside, be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May all beings be free of discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. Now return back to breathing mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Breathing in and out. ระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเกวาพุทธังมหาเกวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเกวัตตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเกวัตโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหาเกวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังปุตโตภาควาติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, good evening to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone here. Welcome to everyone online as well. This is called loving kindness meditation. This is going to help you to rewire your mind to be loving and kind. Because as long as you continue to have bitterness or harshness or hostility towards others, it's just going to damage your relationships and make it difficult for you to be able to experience peace and joy that you can experience. Oftentimes, there's a certain amount of disharmony in relationships for someone who's in the unenlightened state. They'll have difficulties and struggles in certain relationships, but you can get to a point where you have harmony in all your relationships. But you need to work on your own mind, because oftentimes people think the way to solve this is to change the other person. I know that's what I did for a really long time, that I had a lot of difficulties with my mom growing up, and I had all these expectations of her, and I wanted her to be a certain way, and she's just never going to be that way. That's all what's going on in my mind. So you might have this too, where you have certain expectations for people and you're wanting and expecting them to be a certain way. This is what the unenlightened mind does, is it craves permanence. And it likes these people who do things your way. But these people over here that don't do things your way, you'll dislike them. And you'll have bitterness and harshness towards them. And you'll actually think that it's them that's causing this, but it's actually coming from your own mind. There's something in the mind called craving, desire, attachment. This is the wants and expectations that the mind has. It's craving permanence, but yet you live in an impermanent world. So you need to come to the understanding that everybody in the world is doing things differently. This is based on our own experiences and the things that we've experienced. We're going to do things differently, that not everyone's going to do things the same. You're never going to live in a world where everybody does things the same. But that's what the mind wants in the unenlightened state, is it craves for everybody to do it this way. And it can only be happy when people do it that way. And when they do it this way over here, the mind doesn't like that. And that's where it becomes bitter and harsh and hostile. When you're experiencing that anger and frustration, the mind firmly believes believes it's coming from the other person, that the mind thinks that this other person is causing you to be angry, where what you can see through the teachings of the Buddha in a way that you can independently verify is that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. Because as long as you think that it's other people, you will tend to push people away, or you'll push a situation away. This is called aversion, where you push people away. And as long as you do this, you're not going to be able to experience harmonious relationships. You can see that that person isn't actually causing your discontent feelings, because if they were the ones causing your anger and frustration, when you push them out of your life, you'd be peaceful and joyful from that point forward. Or the second thing an individual will do is be bitter and harsh and hostile towards people through their intentions, their speech, and their actions. And you can see in your relationships where you do this, those people are that way to you too, and it causes difficulties and struggles for you. Or the third thing that'll happen when you don't realize that it's your own mind causing the anger and frustration is you'll tend to put expectations on people and try to pressure them to do things your way. And people might actually be doing this to you too, where they're pushing you away. They're being bitter, harsh, and hostile to you, and they're putting expectations on you. But the Buddha discovered this better way of life, that you can actually train your mind to not actually do this, where you can get to the point where it's always peaceful, it's always joyful, understanding that you can disagree with someone's choices and decisions that they make while still loving the person. You don't have to agree with someone's choices and decisions. Even if someone murdered your mother, even though that's very unfortunate to even think about that. But if somebody murdered your mother, being angry and bitter and harsh and hostile towards them doesn't actually solve anything. It's actually coming from your own mind. Oftentimes we hold on to bitterness and harshness and hostility, thinking we're getting back at the other person, where in reality it's harming your own mind. So we can disagree with that person's choices and decisions while still loving the person. What love is having a genuine interest in seeing this being be well. Doesn't mean you agree with them. It just means that you would like to see them be well. Oftentimes people are falling in love with people and falling out of love with people. This isn't actually love if you think about it that way. Or if you think that love is painful or that love hurts, this isn't love. Oftentimes people will meet somebody, they will spend time with that person. At the beginning of the relationship, they feel really great, they're really excited, everything's wonderful, it couldn't be better, because you have very little expectations. You're just trying to get to know this person. Maybe you're going to the movies, you're going to dinner, you're going to the park, having great conversations. Maybe you're having intimate contact, right? This person's maybe checking in on you and seeing how you're doing, and you feel so great. But then over time, the relationship deteriorates, right? And now it falls apart. But somewhere in there, you might have told this person, I've fallen in love with you. Right? And they're like, oh my God, I love you too. Right? I've fallen in love with you. But then you treat this person really well, right? You treat them really great. You talk to them very nice and endearing. Maybe you get them some gifts. Maybe you guys go places together. But then towards the end of the relationship, when you guys break up, you're really angry and frustrated. You might even be trying to get back at this person. You might be trying to do harmful things to this person. You might tell this person, I have fallen out of love with you. And now you might be bitter and harsh and hostile towards this person. This isn't your love that's doing that. That's the craving, desire, attachment. There's no such thing as conditional love, but we might call this conditional love. That as long as this person does things my way, I will say that I love them, I will act like I love them, I will function like I love them, and now we are in love. But when they stop doing things my way and the way that I want them to do it, I don't love them anymore. And now I'm going to be bitter and harsh and hostile to them. This isn't actually love. It's the mind craving permanence. What you would like to get to is where you have unconditional love, where this person doesn't have to do anything in order for you to love them. That way you can love everybody. I love every single one of you. I would like to see you be well. There's nothing you did in order to earn my love, so therefore there's nothing you could do for me to stop loving you. I don't suggest you do this, but let's just say you murdered someone and you called me from jail and said, hey, David, can you come see me? Yeah, I'll come see you. Yeah, I disagree with the choice that you made, but I don't have to hate you because you made what I consider to be an unwise choice. I can still love you. So your brothers and sisters, your mom, your dad, your boss, your coworkers, they're going to make decisions differently than you sometimes because they've had different experiences. And that's normal. This is called impermanence, that the world is full of impermanence. And you need to separate the choices and decisions that people make where you can disagree with those while still loving the person. This is called unconditional love. Because this thing that's masquerading as love, which is craving, desire, attachment, which isn't really love, someone might say, I love you, therefore I want you to be with me because you make me happy. This isn't love. This is all about me. I want to be happy, and I can only be happy when you're with me. This is the mind selfishness. What you would like to get to is, I love you, therefore I'd like to see you be well. Understanding that you are responsible for your own wellness, right? Me putting expectations on you and trying to control you or force you to do things my way, that's not love. But that's oftentimes what we grow up with. We grow up with individuals around us that are putting expectations on us and trying to control us and tell us what we should or shouldn't be doing. And these people in our mind are loving us, and we think that that's what love is. So when we get together with a partner, we think that what we should do is try to force them to do things our way. And then we can only love them if they do things our way. But that's not true love. You would like to get to true love, where there doesn't need to be any condition met for you to love this person, that you love them as they are. That's what true love is loving this person as they are. They didn't earn your love. You didn't fall in love with them. So there's nothing they can do for you to fall out of love with them. And this type of love, if you love people unconditionally, then you will experience unconditional love, right? If you have conditional love, even though there's no such thing as conditional love, then you're going to experience the same thing. But if you can get to a point where you're practicing unconditional love, where you just love people as they are, now you'll experience that more and more. So this meditation is going to help you to be able to get to that, where you can rewire your mind to be loving and kind in all situations. This is gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. That you're not going to just do this meditation once or twice, or do it for 1 week or 2 weeks and your anger is gone. In fact, you can't even meditate your way to the end of anger. Meditation is an important component of this, but you need to actually go out into the world and be loving and kind through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. And this meditation that I did with you guys, I did it based on all of us and kind of guiding all of you guys. And I use very general statements like, may my family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors be peaceful and safe and well and free of discontentedness. But what you would like to do to have this become more effective for you is to actually customize it. So if there's someone named Bob or Susie or Rebecca, and maybe they're in your life, or maybe they're in the past, maybe it's a past boyfriend or girlfriend that you're no longer with, and you still have anger and frustration in your mind towards that person, that's just harming you. So you're going to need to customize this meditation, where you might do one ring starting with yourself, and then maybe do a ring or two of people that you actually have loving kindness for, like your parents. Maybe then do a ring or two of people you're more neutral about, maybe like your coworkers, your neighbors. But then you'd like to do a ring or two of people you do have anger towards. Maybe they're in your life now, or maybe they're in the past. Maybe you'll never even see them again. Maybe they're actually dead. So you would like to say, may Bob be peaceful, safe, well, and free of discontentedness. May Susie be peaceful, safe, well, and free of discontent, just like we did today, very slowly. And then you'd like to end this meditation with all beings. And now, when you think about that person, or when you spend time with that person, over time, you can gradually wear away this anger and hatred, and you can have more loving and kind thoughts towards this person. So the way the Buddha talks about this, and the way that you'll experience this, is it's like a digging tool. If you had a digging tool with a wooden handle, and you were digging with this wooden handle each day, this tool, you're wearing wood away from the handle of this tool every single day. You're not going to know how much wood you're wearing away from the handle, but you're wearing wood away from this handle every single day. When you're using it for an extended period of time, eventually you're going to get to the point where you have to replace the handle. You're not going to know how much wood you wore away each individual day, but when you need to replace the handle, you're going to know that. So it's the same thing with your anger and your hatred. If you do this meditation and you go out into the world and be loving and kind through your intention, speech, and actions, you're not going to know how much anger you're wearing away each individual day. But when it's completely gone, you'll know that, because it'll be 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You haven't been angry. You haven't been frustrated. You'll see that it clears up in certain relationships, right? I started this with my mom, that I cleared up that relationship first, but I still had anger towards my wife. right? So I needed to clean that up too. But eventually you'll get to the point where all your relationships, you have nothing but love and kindness, and that'll happen for extended periods of time, for multiple years. You haven't had even the slightest little bit of annoyance or frustration towards this person. There's more than just meditation that you need. There's more than just this loving kindness meditation, but this is an important component of that. So if you're really interested in getting on this path and understanding what the Buddha taught, I suggest you start with this first book. You can download it from our website for free. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by reimbursing us for the printing cost, or you can get it on Amazon. This is the first book of a 13-book series. It's titled Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. This is going to help you to lay a foundation to understanding the core teachings of the Buddha, and then you'll be able to gradually develop your mind through those teachings. And if you'd like to attend classes either here or online, because I live stream all of our classes, you can do that. You can even get personal guidance at no cost if you like. Everything's available to you. Classes, courses, retreats, books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts, personal guidance. It's all available at no cost, because this better way of life that the Buddha taught, it actually works. But you'll only know that if you decide to learn his teachings, investigate it and examine them. You need to reflect on them to verify if they're true or false. And then you need to practice them, integrating them into your day-to-day life in order to be able to train your mind. So I'm going to stop here and see if you guys would like to ask any questions about anything that I've shared, anything you're thinking about, anything you need help with. You're welcome to ask any and all questions that you like. Here at the temple, if you guys would like to ask questions, we have microphones in the white bowl there. We also have some up here as well. If you could use a microphone, that'll help the people online to be able to hear you. All you need to do is get a microphone and press the gray button. You'll see the lights come on, and then you can hold this up to your chin, and we'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll hear you online. And then if you'd like to keep these microphones with you, you're more than welcome to, because you might have more than one question, or someone around you might have a question, and you can even turn it off if you don't mind, so that it won't get feedback through the speakers when you're not using it. And then for anybody online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section, and I'll be able to see that and answer your question. So are there any questions here online you guys would like to ask? Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
My question would be a very general one. Nowadays, there are so many types of meditation, like from sound bath to so many. And I wanted to ask you, which are the actual types of meditation that the Buddha actually taught?
Sure.
Because it's so difficult to distinguish.
Yeah, he only taught 4 meditations, and I'll actually show you in his own words. Let me just flip over so the people online can actually see. There's a lot of meditations that are being taught today in the world. A lot of these meditations are actually taking the mind in the opposite direction of enlightenment. But I'm going to teach you, or at least introduce you to the 4 meditations that the Buddha taught. I'll just go back here. Let's see, this is my whole slide deck. Here we go. So these are the words of the Buddha, where he's introducing his 4 meditations. And there's meditations that you'll see taught in Buddhist retreats and temples and things like this that are actually not from the Buddha. And he warned people not to change his teachings. And he talked about the danger of this, that if you change his teachings, it's going to cause you harm and harm for countless people. So he only taught 4 meditations. The first one is a meditation to eliminate sexual cravings. If you're having really strong sexual cravings, there's a meditation to help you do that. The second one is the one that we just did, the loving kindness meditation. That's helping you eliminate anger, hatred, and ill will, and all the lesser versions like frustration, agitation, annoyance. Then there's breathing mindfulness meditation, which is, we incorporate a little bit of that into this meditation, where you're focused on the breath, and anytime the mind moves off the breath, you're cutting that off and letting it go and coming back. This is eliminating craving, desire, attachment, building this internal mechanism to cut off and let go, because that's what you need to do in your day-to-day life. You need to have mindfulness and concentration and be able to cut off and let go. This is the primary form of training in terms of meditation that the Buddha used, was breathing mindfulness meditation. And then the second one was loving kindness meditation. And then there's a fourth one, which is called the meditation to realize non-self. This is something that you haven't learned yet with me, where the mind is clinging to this body, this self-image. It's clinging to an identity, thinking that this is who you are as a person, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way. And the mind can only be comfortable if it's being perceived that way. So if you ever spilled something on your clothing in a social situation and you were embarrassed by that, that's your personal existence view, clinging to the body, wanting others to perceive you a certain way. Or if you saw a wrinkle or a pimple or a mole, or you started having gray hair, you started losing your hair and you were shaken up by that, that's your personal existence view, wanting others to perceive you a certain way. And you can only feel comfortable when they're perceiving you that way. So there's a meditation to help you with that, but there's also other teachings too that you need in order to be able to eliminate this personal existence view, thinking that this is who you are as a person. And then there's an identity that the mind will cling to too, based on your culture, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your nationality, your job or occupation, thinking that this is who you are. Like I am Spanish, or I am American, or I am Lithuanian, or I am Libyan, or I am Thai. Any of this I am French, or any of this I am a Brit, right? And if you cling to that, well, when you're sitting in a restaurant and 2 tables over, they're like, all Americans are lovely and kind and warm and gentle. I've never heard anyone say this, but they might actually say that someday, right? You might actually hear that. And then you're like, wow, they're talking about me, right? But then it's only a matter of time because of impermanence as somebody says something 2 tables over, degrading and disparaging about the nationality that you've got in your mind as who you think you are as a person. And now you're frustrated or angry or irritated. So the Buddha teaches you to strip this away and realize that there is a body, there is a mind, and they've come together for this existence, but this doesn't define who you are as a person. Because if you cling to any of this, when it starts to change, your mind will be discontent. So there's a meditation to help you with that, but there's other things you need besides the meditation. The first 2 that you build up is first you start with breathing mindfulness meditation for about 4 to 6 weeks. You work on that and build that up. Then you bring in your loving kindness meditation. You work on that for probably take you another 2 or 3 months to kind of build that up. And you're also building up your Eightfold Path because there's other things besides meditation. And then these are as needed because not everybody needs a meditation to eliminate sexual cravings. Some people can reduce that in other ways, and not everybody needs this meditation. You still need to realize non-self, but not everybody needs this meditation to be able to do it. But everybody's going to need breathing mindfulness meditation and loving kindness meditation. So these are the only 4 that the Buddha ever taught. So if you see any other meditations out there, even if it's taught at a retreat or a Buddhist temple or anything like that, the Buddha never taught it. Those are misunderstandings that people are having. And oftentimes it takes the mind in the opposite direction of enlightenment. People sometimes will teach you to count during meditation, or they will teach you to look at your thoughts, evaluate your thoughts, analyze your thoughts. Sometimes people will teach you to look at the body as you're meditating. All of these things never actually were taught by the Buddha, and it actually isn't taking your mind in the direction of what he actually taught. Because here on this next slide, what I'm showing you is the unwholesome qualities that you're eliminating in the wholesome qualities that you're cultivating with each one of these meditations. Because that's what I shared with you, that meditation is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session to eliminate certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and cultivate certain wholesome qualities. So this is the why behind your meditation. The way you can think about meditation is it's like exercising the mind, taking your mind to the gym, building up certain qualities so that then you can practice those qualities in your day-to-day life, which is helping you to transform your mind. Kind of like a professional athlete. They have certain training that they do, but then they use those qualities in their sport. Their training will look oftentimes very different than their sport. Like a pole vaulter, they probably go in the gym and do weight training, cardiovascular training, agility training, but their sport looks completely different from what they do in the gym. And the same thing is true here, is that when you're exercising the mind, you're doing that in one way, but then there's work that you need to do outside of meditation too, in order to be able to train your mind fully. Even though you can't do this, let's just say somebody was meditating for 23 hours a day, but then once 1 hour a day they went outside and they were bitter and harsh and hostile with people, they're not anywhere close to enlightenment. So oftentimes people think that the Buddha sat under a tree, he meditated and instantly got to enlightenment. So people are oftentimes very much focused on meditation and putting a lot of emphasis on that. But it's a very small component of your overall practice to get to enlightenment. There's 8 individual factors to be able to train your mind to get to enlightenment. I'll show you this diagram. There's 8 individual factors. It's called the Eightfold Path. And this eightfold path, if you do the math with these 8 factors, each one of these would be 12.5%, right? Because there's 8 factors. And if you divide that into 9, it'd be 12.5% for each one. Well, meditation is one component of this particular factor, because each one of these factors, they have sub-factors, right? So within this right concentration, there's actually 2 sub-factors. So if you do the math, meditation's about 6.25% of your practice, but sometimes you go places and they're meditating for 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours a day. This isn't sustainable. This isn't what you're going to be able to do on a long-term basis. And it's not something that would actually produce enlightenment, because you're going to need to not just meditate, but go out into the world and actually spend time with people where your intentions, your speech, and your actions can also be purified. Of course, you need the meditation. So you wouldn't be able to meditate your way to enlightenment, but you wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment without meditation either. So it's important to know what for the Buddha taught, because that question that you asked, oftentimes there's so many other meditations that people are being exposed to that the Buddha never actually taught. But these are the only 4 that he ever taught. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much. I just like a quick follow-up, because Hinduism, well, my understanding is the Buddha was born in the north of India, and Hinduism was there as a religion as he was alive, I think. So, and yoga is like a practice of that religion, of Hinduism. So I was wondering, and also like often when you see retreats, you see like lots of type of meditation, but also complementary yoga. So I was wondering, if yoga, if the Buddha ever mentioned something related to yoga or in, those kind of practices.
Sure. Yeah. So the Buddha was born in Nepal, what we refer to as Nepal, and he taught in northeast India. That's where he spent time. But that line of between Nepal and India didn't exist 2,500 years ago. And everything he taught was about training the mind, where yoga is kind of a body activity, even though there's a mental component to it. It's usually to help you to then be able to meditate, to be able to get more benefit out of your meditation. So it's kind of preparatory for your meditation, to enhance your meditation. But the Buddha never taught anything about the body in terms of like an activity like that. He taught, of course, to take care of the body, and it would be wise to make wise decisions about the body and so forth and so on. But he didn't teach you a specific technique, because he understood that we were going to develop more things that we would learn and we would understand, and different cultures are going to contribute different things. There's everything from massage to tai chi to yoga to any number of things, acupuncture. There's all kinds of things like this, qigong, and all these things. In some cases they're helpful for some people, and in some people they don't like it, and other people they like it, and some people they don't like it. So you need to find that unique mix of things that works for this body. The Buddha is teaching you to train your mind. That's like the CPU of the computer. So instead of telling you what keyboard you should have, the Buddha is teaching you how to clean up the CPU. And now if the CPU is working, you'll figure out what keyboard or what mouse you would like to have. But if the CPU is not working well, the whole computer doesn't work well. So that's why he's focused you on the mind, because that's the root of all difficulties and struggles, is actually in the mind itself. So he didn't teach about yoga. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Yeah.
Can you hear? I have a question related to that question. So I'm wondering, if we want to learn the original version of Buddha's teaching, which holy book or which version of that would you recommend?
So you need reliable translations to be able to see what the Buddha actually taught. And that's what I provide here in this particular book series. The largest, most complete collection we have of the teachings of the Buddha, it's assembled in 45 books that are about this thick. It's referred to as the Pali Canon, because the original language that they have this in is Pali. This has been translated into English and other languages as well. But the average person doesn't actually read the entire Pali Canon because it's too comprehensive. It's very repetitive. It's not organized in any particular way. And the main reason why people don't have access to it is because it's very expensive. Because here in Thailand, it would cost you about 3 months of your salary to be able to acquire all of those books. So what we've done as part of our community is this book, the 45 books has been consolidated into 13 books so that we've taken out the repetition and we've put it into a format that is actually approachable, and then we give it away for free so that everybody can get access to it. So this book series, it's titled The Words of the Buddha, The Path to Enlightenment, Revealing the Hidden, because for a long time, these teachings have been hidden, not intentionally, but inadvertently because it's so expensive to print them out. So with the internet nowadays, you can download it for free. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here, or you can order it on Amazon. And even if you paid to have it printed out, it's probably only about $150, which is more approachable for a lot of people. But a lot of people read it on their electronic device too. So these translations that I share, I know with 100% certainty that they're accurate and they will lead to your enlightenment, but that's where you need to investigate them and see that truth for yourself. And I will guide you and help you to be able to understand what he taught, but you need to be able to cultivate that wisdom to be able to see the truth for yourself. So a teacher is kind of like a tour guide where we're pointing out for you the things that you need and providing you the resources, but you're doing the work to be able to cultivate the wisdom. So you're not a follower, you're not a devotee or anything like that. You are your own independent practitioner looking to cultivate wisdom, and you're coming to a teacher to be able to provide you the resources and the guidance that you need. And then you're looking to independently verify what you're reading in these books, that you don't believe anything in the books, because with belief, you don't know what's true or false. You're just believing it because somebody convinced you to believe it, or you convinced yourself to believe it. So you need to get to the point where you've independently verified it, and now you can see the truth and wisdom. Because what the Buddha is teaching you is how your mind works and how the world works. And by understanding that, you will then navigate the world peacefully. Where when you don't understand how your own mind works and you don't understand how the world works, you'll struggle and you'll have difficulties. That's what the stress and the anxiety and all those other feelings are, is it's an indication for you that you're struggling and having difficulties in the world. So I would encourage you to investigate these books, because I know with 100% certainty that they're reliable, and then I can guide you if you would like that guidance. Yep, you're welcome.
I have a question about more meditation. I've been able to cut off thoughts, and what I'm struggling with during meditation is more like images that are forming, so it's more visual. So how I can cut it off images. So like, do I need to think of emptiness visually, or my nose? What I'm doing is like visualizing the wind, the air in my nose. Yeah.
So the mind, while we say cut it off and let it go, really the mind is having difficulties to do that, particularly early on in one's practice. It'll have difficulties to let go. It's more like cut it off and 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 cut it off, and eventually the mind will let go. So what you would like to do is work in the direction of letting go, understanding that your mind's not necessarily going to let go so easily. So when you're in meditation and you're focused on the breath and the mind moves off the breath, understand that that's going to occur. Even for an enlightened being, they have thoughts during meditation. The goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts. But when you notice the thought and you cut it off and let it go and you come back to the breath, that's what you're looking to do, is cut it off and let it go sooner and sooner and easier. But there's going to be certain thoughts where your mind is having difficulties to let go. So if you notice that, just keep working with the mind. The Buddha refers to this as maturing in release. that the mind needs to mature and mature and mature and mature and mature before it will actually release. So there's some things that are going to be very hard for you to let go of. That's why, like, say, like somebody, let's just say, use the example that I used in class. If someone actually did kill our mother, someone murdered our mother, you're not going to be able to just cut that off and let that go if you have an attachment to your mother, right? If you have a strong attachment, a strong craving, you're not going to be able to cut that off and let it go. You have to gradually chip away at it, almost like a jackhammer, constantly, chipping away at it. And over time, the mind will let go. So just keep working in that direction and understand that this thought is impermanent. The goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts, but work in that direction to the point where your mind is noticing the thoughts sooner and sooner and letting them go easier and easier.
Okay. So, for example, as my work, I'm doing design, so I'm pretty much attentive to visual things. I'm wondering if this is also related. Like, so I'm attached more to visuals. So that's why it's more difficult to cut it off images that are manifesting during the meditation.
When you say it's difficult to cut off, do you mean that in your meditation, your mind is sticking with that image? It's not able to come back to the breath?
I think I am coming back to the breath, but still the image persists.
Okay.
It's still there.
That's normal. It's going to be there, right? As long as you notice it and you're able to come back to the breath, that's what you would like to do.
Oh, okay.
Because you're going to have thoughts. You're going to have these things during meditation. Your goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts. Your goal is to notice them sooner and sooner and cut them off and let them go easier and easier. You're building this internal mechanism in the mind. So the difference is, in the unenlightened state, you'll have a bombardment of thoughts. Lots and lots and lots of thoughts or images. Or you'll have a thought and you'll indulge in it for a period of time. You'll look at it, play with it. You'll be 2 or 3 minutes down the road and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm meditating. Let me bring my mind back. That's what you'll experience. In the enlightened mental state, and as your meditation is getting more and more close to the point where you experience enlightenment, you're going to notice that you still have a thought, but you notice it, and then you bring your mind right back to the breath. And then there's quietness and stillness between your thoughts. That's the difference. So as long as you're noticing it and bringing the mind back, and then there's some quietness in between, that's what you're looking for.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let me just check online and see if we have any questions here. Okay, I don't see any questions online. So I'll just end by thanking all of you guys for joining. Thank you for your interest to learn and understand the teachings of the Buddha. If you guys would like to learn more, you're more than welcome to do that. We have a full class schedule where you can attend classes here. In fact, tonight at 9 p.m., I'm going to be teaching the 4 healthy mental states of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. We're going to do breathing mindfulness meditation first, and then I'm going to teach these 4 healthy mental states. There are certain symptoms that the Buddha discovered in the mind, and then there's a certain prescription that you apply. This is where the Buddha gets the reputation of being like a doctor. But you are your own best doctor. You don't need someone else to be able to apply a prescription for you. You can actually do that yourself if you have the wisdom of how to do that. So I'm going to be teaching that tonight at 9 o'clock. And then on Wednesday, we have a meditation as well, where I'm going to do meditation and then open up to questions. We have a full list of classes over there on the bulletin board that you can see, and you can find them on our website as well. We even have a social event here each Friday at 6 p.m. We have a temple fun night that if you guys would like to come to this, you're welcome to come to that as well. You're also welcome to come let me know what questions you have, and I can help you get plugged into the resources that you need. So whatever you choose to do today, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Take care. Sawadee ka. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.